to a brand new episode of Point of View. Before we get started, let's welcome Crystal Williams and Derby back to the table. Hey y'all. We're so excited. We have a lot to get into today. And coming up on today's show, Southern University fraternity hazing death. We have an update on that. And later in Girlfriend's Guide, we're breaking down how different parenting styles can make or break your relationship. So pull up a seat during the discussion. You're watching POV. So here's the latest on Southern University following the tragic hazing death of Caleb Wilson. Authorities say he died after being repeatedly punched in the chest during an off-campus Omega Psi Phi ritual, and members allegedly tried to cover it up. Now, former student Caleb McCrae has been arrested and charged with criminal hazing and manslaughter. This is insane. And it's so sad. Like, and we keep having to relive it. I've been seeing a lot of videos, of Caleb Wilson on social media, of him dancing and just kind of, getting to know his personality, and his life was so promising. And, just to see, the Divine Nine or Omega Psi Phi specifically, the way that they're trying to cover this up, because first they said that, it was at a park, and now we're finding out it was in a warehouse. And so as it's advancing, like, how do you guys feel about it?
Well, I'm glad the truth is coming out. And that, we're getting a chance to find out, what happened here. I mean, do they need to have this sci-fi fraternity? I mean, if this is what's going on, then maybe they need to just stop it altogether. I mean, it doesn't seem like the school is like really regulating it. This is off campus. There just shouldn't be any hazing. How many times are we going to hear these stories about someone dying during hazing? I mean, come on, just stop it.
I feel like hazing is done by people who were insecure when they were in school. Mm-hmm. Like, you are the ones that you are literally taking out your depression, your low self-esteem moments on the next person. Yeah. And then it continues on because now you've bred that same energy into another student who then does it and carries it on down the line. Yeah. And the gentleman who did it, sweetheart, you just look like one of those. I'm so sorry.
Why are you still on campus either way?
Former
is
student.
Like my biggest piece. Right. You're almost probably 40. What are we doing?
Exactly.
And even if you are there on stage, like there, are you mentoring the guys? Like, what's taking place? I don't even think he should have been there. Maybe schools need to be doing a better job at paying attention who's getting on campus and doing certain things and who's leading and so on and so forth, because it's definitely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's out of control. The National Hazing Prevention Center reports that 15 to 20 students die from hazing every year nationwide, and that is just so sad. Even to think about it, and in someone's mind, I know someone would think 15 to 20, that's not a lot. This could be our next president. This could be the next person with the real cure for cancer. This could be any one of our sons, brother, father, husband, sisters, anyone. And so I just can't wrap my mind around it. And I really want to see the progression of this case. A lot of people have been boycotting and rioting and just speaking up about it. And so I'm hoping that this isn't going to be one of the 15 to 20 that are brushed under the rug. In New Orleans, they're pretty vocal. So I'm interested to see how this works out. But how do we think authorities should go about holding the rest of the chapter accountable?
Well, let's be honest. I don't know if that state is the state that carries what we call the felony murder rule, right? That's why a lot of people don't speak up. Because if one person does it and you are there in the commission of that crime, you're just as guilty. You are now a felon with him or her. Yeah. So a lot of times you're not going to have those people speak up because they already know that, hey, if he died, all of us are in trouble. And I'm more than sure there was more than one person there. Yeah. More than two, more than three.
So if you speak up and you were there, you're held accountable too.
You're still a part of it too.
Right. On the flip side, I think what's even more sad is the thought that there probably are some people that are not speaking up because they feel like not only would I be associated with the crime, but that they still want to be able to pledge.
Yes.
Because they're probably feeling like, okay, well, unfortunately Caleb is gone and I'm going to move on with my life. I still want the perks of being a part of this fraternity. And literally, it's so sad, but I'm sure that it's going through plenty of their minds. And it's just so sad to think that, these kind of brotherhoods and sisterhoods, people are willing to risk their lives for.
Yes.
And so much so, I remember when I was younger, I really had like a respect for the Divine Nine. Growing up, it was kind of like an aspiration that a lot of kids had. And now I just be looking at them like,
Side eye.
Right. So getting punched in the chest, getting beat on with a paddle or something or whatever they do, getting branded, licking boots,
Stomped
just
out.
being humiliated and disgraced. That's okay with you? Like, this is something that's okay? I don't get it. I honestly don't.
But
get
if you
that.
think about like gangs, it's the same thing. It's just college.
Thank you. That's right.
Right.
You have to be
Gangs.
jumped into gangs.
It's just legal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Legal
and
gangs.
you are literally willing to risk your life to be a part of the gang, be a part of the cool kids, to say that you are a part of something.
Yeah.
Maybe which is why I only did a couple years of school.
God had other plans for you. But moving on to a lighter note, we have an interesting story. An Alaska Airlines flight attendant lost her dream job for doing the unthinkable, twerking on an empty plane back in 2024, and her video ended up going viral. Once the airline saw it, though, she was fired. Something she said was totally unfair and unexpected. Y'all some twerkers or no?
No.
In my past life, I'm not going to lie.
You twerk the city down?
I could twerk until the Lord came back. But I used to get down. It don't matter where. So I can understand why she might have done it, but it's the whole thing with
trend.
TikTok.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? People don't know when to stop. We don't know when to draw the line. So I think that's what happened here. Unfortunately, you are at work. You have your name tag on. The people can see it. They can identify what's your background, so on and so forth. So, yeah, I don't know if the leg up probably got her out the door.
Leg up was a bit much, huh?
It was the leg
I
up.
think the bigger problem is, as a brand, as a company, right? Your reputation is everything.
Yeah.
You have no second chance. For her, I think if she had not done the twerking part of it and just been a little more clean and respectful to the fact that you are at work, you are in and representing someone else, not just yourself.
Right.
Furthermore, you're a flight attendant you want me to respect you. Where's the respect now? All I'm going to remember is, that's the flight attendant that was twerking.
Right.
And then when there's the
Can you bust
emergency,
a
all I'm
move for
looking
me?
at you is like,
Right.
oh my gosh, what can you do for me? We're gonna go somewhere else.
Listen,
No.
well, since these proceedings have been going
it was
on,
more.
this flight attendant, well, she's an ex-flight attendant now, has recently spoken out. So let's see what she had to say.
I didn't think that, being so happy can turn into something like this. I decided to just take advantage of the moment to wake myself up and kind of get myself hyped up for my day, basically. They just said that I broke their social media policy. And I was really proud of myself that I came so far. I put on such a proud face every time I stepped on that plane. And for them to terminate me without giving me a chance, I didn't think that.
Listen, Linda, okay? Any flight attendants, I have family members and friends that are flight attendants, but it is a known fact. First of all, she's a cute girl.
She is.
But I am not here for a dry cry, okay? I need to see the tip, first and foremost. And on top of that, she know what she was doing, because a lot of these flight attendants, male or female, they take these jobs not because they love risking their life being in the air, but they're hoping that they can come across somebody that's going to change their life, maybe get them a pilot or two. Like, come on, baby. So that's really why she's probably distraught, baby, because you probably ain't locked that pilot in yet.
Oh, she's like, I wanted to have to wake myself up. Sweetheart, go drink some coffee.
Okay.
It's not that serious. Like, come on. Furthermore, it's plain as day. You had no shorts on. You have on thigh-high boots. and an airline smock.
And then put your dirty boot on these people's chest. Somebody probably gonna have their face on when they sleeping in
And
flight.
then come to the camera and twerk a little more. Let me show you this
did.
little
I didn't
bit
know there
more.
was extra. It
Come
was
on.
that leg up that did it. I'm telling you. Come on. If she had her feet on the ground, she might have made it out.
Yeah, but luckily she's a cute girl. I'm sure, with the story going viral, somebody, daddy or son, gonna try to holler at her. Maybe they may try to get her to work for one of these private airlines.
Oh, watch out, holla.
You never know.
Do we think it was fair for the Alaska Airlines to fire this flight attendant? Or, technically she wasn't on the clock, but she was.
She was.
You're on the clock the moment you have that shirt on.
You
think
have
you're
your
right. It's the
uniform
brand.
on.
And you on their plane. You on the
You're
clock.
on
You
the
clocked
plane.
in.
That's your
You're on the
job.
property.
Yes.
I think they were right.
Yeah.
I would have
Yeah.
fired her if it was my company.
Yeah, I wouldn't have liked it.
You're representing us in a way that is just inappropriate.
Right.
And some things are just undeniably, period.
Well, I think this is what happens when something inappropriate just becomes so common that
Yes.
everybody's doing what's inappropriate. This was the inappropriate place, inappropriate dance in this space.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just should not have happened. And sometimes you got to use a little more discretion. We have to be a little more mature. And there are rules. And companies don't like certain things, and you gotta abide by the rules.
Right. This definitely reminds me of the NYPD detective that was seen recently, and she has been receiving a lot of backlash for being spotted pole dancing in a rapper's music video. What a time to be alive.
I think they're just in her business. She's not in that uniform.
No,
This
she
is
was
her
not.
own time.
They don't be tripping when they be doing security at these nightclubs.
Yeah, they be
Be
jumping
tripping
down
when
on
they
the people.
putting
mind your
guns in
business.
kids' faces.
We have to take a quick commercial break, but coming up right after this, we have Girlfriend's Guide and Unpopular Opinion. Stay tuned. You're watching POV.
Hello, social media family. We have a question for you. It's that time. What's a viral trend that you secretly wish would come back or come to an end? I know right now, twerking. That's what I wish would end.
I'm
second
right there
that
with
motion.
you.
Thank you.
Hey, court is adjourned.
Well, that was quick. Unanimous.
Well,
Yeah, too much twerking. And you know what? When they had little kids twerking, oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
I'm like, are you for real?
yeah.
Are there any morals and values of little kids are twerking too, and you got the camera all up on them? My goodness. I am
Listen.
tired of seeing it.
I thank God I got 2 left legs, and so do my kids, baby. So my daughter, she can't do much more than the 2-step.
Good.
And even the TikTok trends with all the dancing, I'm like, well, gosh, I think I'm just too old now because I can do nothing.
Me either.
I can do none of it.
Well, I was gonna say TikTok in general. It's too much all the time. You can't have a decent meal. People twerking and carrying on at the restaurant. I just went out. People had their derriere in the air.
No,
taking
please,
pictures and
Are you
TikToking. I am
serious?
so for real. I wouldn't lie.
This is
It's a no
just
for me.
ridiculous. Well, friends, that was it. Answer the question. Put it in the comments. Let us know what you think about it, all right? What trends need to come to an end or you wish would come back?
Welcome back. It's that part of the show where we talk about love, life, relationships, and everything in between. Let's get into Girlfriend's Guide. So most of us know that having kids can completely change the dynamic of a relationship, or pets for that matter. But having different parenting styles can make or break a partnership. So what happens when one parent is strict and the other parent is like way more laid back? And what if one partner wants kids and the other doesn't? So let's talk about it. How does parenting shape relationships for the better or for worse?
I feel like it shapes it for the better, but you have to be in agreement. There has to be an understanding that this is what we're doing. I'm not going to undermine you. You're not going to undermine me. I might not agree, but we're not going to do that in front of our children because that is our children, regardless if it's mine or yours, right? But we have to understand at the end of the day that parenting is parenting. And if they see as children that one is here and the other one's here, you've created an environment of a great divide. And now they're going to learn how to milk it as children. And then that is going to be the problem.
1 and 2, they know how to do it.
Yeah.
Easy. I have a 1. Trust me.
Yeah.
He does it all the time. He's very good at it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm on the, what is the movie with Nick Cannon Drumline, where there was one band, one sound?
Yes.
I live by that. So I'm right there with you, Crystal, on we have to be on one accord. And if we have any discrepancies in our parenting styles, we need to figure it out on the back end. Or maybe I'll just play sleep and let you handle it, baby.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's so important to be on one accord.
I think a lot of that too, sometimes you may have the same morals and values and things how you want to raise your children, but our personalities are different. So I may be a screamer and you may be a listener, and now we're at odds because you're like, hey, Derbs, did you really have to yell at the kids in the middle of the store? Or, why ain't you yelling at this boy to get it together? So now we're falling out because I don't like how you just spoke to the kids, and I don't like that you're not saying anything at all. So you can easily fall into a trap of, a divide quickly when it comes to these kids, discipline and things of that nature, for sure.
A big question that I have, what keeps coming to my mind is, how would you guys advise in navigating faith, being opposites in faith? And that is so hard. And I know a lot of people just feel like, oh, you just do this and do that. But, what is the advice for that? I need to know.
I have none.
Quiet.
I like to call myself a baby Christian, which means I'm new here.
Okay.
Like I'm taking my journey seriously. I don't think that's going to work. To set, and it can, because there are some people who are, Islam and then they're Christian and they co-parent and it works. I personally don't think it can work because if I want to take my child to First Sunday and, we do the communion, I don't need you upset because the baby done drunk some Welch.
But I do feel that this conversation should be had at the beginning.
You're right.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I need to agree, you need to agree. And if we both agreed that this is what we're doing, fine. Now, there are some households where the man, traditionally, whatever his religious preference is, that is what takes the lead. But again, we need to communicate that with each other so that we don't have this divide 3 years later. I know what direction I'm going. And traditionally, let's be honest, the man is supposed to lead the house.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if whatever he's doing, if I agreed with it at the beginning, why am I waiting 5 years later to disagree?
I agree with that to a certain extent, but I guess I'm also considering the people that, like Derby just said, she's a new stage, and so the people that may come to their truth or their awakening moment later on in life after you've been in a relationship for 20 years, are you now obligated to not change with the new information that you have because you agreed to be Muslim 20 years ago? Or do you just get a divorce?
No, I feel at that point, again, communication is key. You guys should have multiple conversations about it.
Yeah.
Really coordinate time to say, well, let me show you what it is that I love about this, and vice versa. It's not to say challenge me, but to say, let's talk about this so you can understand why.
Yeah.
And then even though we might not agree, I still want your support. That's all I need.
Yeah, because honestly, if you love me, you will take into account anything that I care about. You'll listen at the very least. You can take in and then you can process it for yourself. But at the very least, hear me out. See why I want to do it this way, and then you can give me insight on why you feel like we shouldn't. But at least hear me out.
Well, I'm going to chime in here because I don't have children, but I do have a pet. I have a dog. And I can see that sometimes, like my mom and I, sometimes she's letting the dog do things that I said, no, he can't do. And when she lets him do it, of course, he's like, oh, well, now I'm going to go to her when I want to do things. And then it causes an issue between us because I'm like, Mom, I said no to this. Don't give him treats after this time. But he's like, oh, I'm going to get the treats because they're manipulative, just like the kids. And people that like dogs sleeping with them. No, I don't do that. No, I don't do that. And that can be a problem because some people like that. They like to cuddle up with the dog. We can do that on the sofa, but we don't do that on the bed.
Yeah.
It's cool to hear people that are dog parents, with their different boundaries. Because I think when you don't have dogs, you just assume that people that have dogs don't have no boundaries.
Oh, no, you have boundaries.
But then I forget because you don't see a lot of, brown people letting the dog lick them in the face. So I guess there are some boundaries.
Don't do.
Don't do it.
Yeah, we definitely don't do that. But I agree. My mom, she's Caribbean, she's Haitian. She feeds my dog like whole big pieces, chunks of meat, chicken,
No, I don't like
all
it.
type of stuff. Now the dog just doesn't eat dog food. But that's because my mom, she's in the house all day. She's cooking, she's feeding the dog. A dog that she doesn't like, by the way. Does not like the dog.
Haitian people ain't gotta like you to feed you. But all right, y'all, let's get into the final segment of the day, unpopular opinion.
Y'all dogs.
Here's an interesting scenario we came across on social media. A couple has put their wedding on hold because the man wants her to take his last name, but she is refusing, wanting to keep hers as a double barrel because she's a doctor and the first in her family to earn that title. So who's right in this situation? Is it tradition or should she keep her name in honor of her accomplishments?
What, can they hyphenate?
Yeah.
Is
That's what she's wanting. She wants to hyphenate, and
But he's
wants
like,
to
nah,
his
take
name.
my whole name. Oh, come on, man.
I don't think it makes a difference. Yeah, ego is really what's playing the role here. Number one, she's a doctor who wants to carry her family's name. That's something that she achieved probably before she even knew you. But at the same time, to pay respect to her marriage, I would take the hyphen. Have a great day.
That's a compromise. That's a nice compromise.
That is.
But if my man is an alpha man and that ego, it needs to be stroked. So then what? We're not compromising that. It's the last name or nothing.
See, that's what I don't understand about the alpha. Because to me, an alpha would say, well, what's the problem with the hyphen? You're gonna have my last name. What's the problem? Because it seems to be more secure with himself to be okay with the hyphen. I don't know. Maybe I misunderstand the alpha.
I feel like it does have a little bit to do with security, but this conversation has come up so many times, just in genuine, generic conversations, and it's funny to see how a lot of men feel about it. And I think it is an ego thing. But, even like in my household, I say all the time, like, I love my daddy's last name. Like, and then literally, and then to think, my dad had a son, my only brother, and, he passed away. And so it's like, I keep thinking about, after all the daughters marry off, who's gonna be Somers? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's hard for me. I like my dad's last name, but I don't know.
Hyphenate the last name.
I'm okay with
Stop
the
the
hyphen.
mess.
I'll give you an example. My doctor changed her last name and then got divorced, and now we don't know who she is.
Oh,
Right.
Because we're calling her by her last name that she changed it to.
No, we don't know
Now
who
she's
she
going
is.
back.
We can't find her.
You can't.
Be an adult male and get over yourself. Be an adult male, get over yourself. Honestly. Hyphenate the last name, okay? You'll still have her with your last name, okay? Come on now.
And I don't like to say devil's advocate, but, on the flip side, thinking about, prior to marriage as a single woman, you have your own identity. And then in marriage, you're supposed to kind of come together together with your husband's identity. So realistically, I know that it is right that I guess you should take their name, but I like my dad's last name.
But you still took the name. You just put a hyphen to the name. So the name, when you put your name, that last part of the name is really your name. It's not the first part.
Right, exactly.
So the last part of the name, which is your husband's name, is the name that you
The first part is really for comfort then.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. Let me have some comfort.
Right. Sometimes the ego will get in the way. And just like we have to learn as a female to take away our female ego, because we all have that too.
Yeah.
We do.
Sometimes you have to compromise. And in marriage, that's what it is, a compromise.
Love past your ego. Love past your ego. That's all.
Do we think that keeping your last name after marriage could create tension in the long run?
No.
No?
No.
No, it's a choice.
You think I think that too.
I think it'll still be back there. It'll come up in the argument, some
I
way,
didn't
shape, or form.
keep mine.
But I feel like if you agree to it, we done had this settled on
why
paper
you
in the
take
courthouse
it.
or jump in a broom, however it happened, baby, let's just move on.
I think the only time it will become an issue is if now, as your hyphenated name, you're trying to do that with your children too. Because some women do that. They will hyphenate the children's names and then they will keep on.
And the kids never learn how to spell.
Boxes.
Like these 4 and 5 names, like, come on, give the kid a chance, man. They gonna need hooked on phonics.
That's the Latinos. You got about 10 names.
Oh my
Listen. But as we wrap up today's show, we continue to celebrate Women's History Month. Here's a powerful quote from Grammy-nominated artist Janelle Monáe. Even if it makes others uncomfortable, I will love who I am. And that's my daddy last name. I added that part on. But thank y'all for tuning in to POV. Catch us here weekdays only on Afro TV. Good night.
Bye.